The first thing to do when you're plotting reaction progression is to make sure your equation is balanced. If you want to check that, you can go over here to the side and write out what you have, and this will be your left and this will be your right. So on the left side of the reaction, we have 2 times 2 is 4 hydrogen. On the right side, 2 times 2, 4 hydrogen. Over here we have 2 oxygen, and here we have 2 oxygen, which means we balance this correctly. The next thing you want to do is draw a table. In this table, we're going to put the reactants and products in the way that they appear. So first we see H2, and then we see O2, and then we see H2O. Over here, this is going to be sort of your start button. This is at 0. This is before one reaction happens. This is what happens at one reaction, and this is what happens at the second reaction. Right here, it tells us that we start with 4m of H2. So over here, at our starting point, we're going to say we started with 4. Now for oxygen, it says we start at 3. So we're going to go right here and write 3. For H2O, we start at 0 because that is our product and we haven't had our first reaction yet. So we haven't made any water yet. So we have a 0 right there. Now after the first reaction occurs, according to this, we used 2 in the reaction. So we have to subtract 2 from this, which leaves us with 2. And we used 1 oxygen in the reaction, so we subtract and we get 2. But on the product side, we gain 2 water, so we add 2. Looks like we can do the reaction a second time. Again, we used 2 in the reaction, so we have to subtract 2. That leaves us with 0 hydrogen. For oxygen, we use 1 in the reaction, so we subtract 1, and that leaves us with 1. And for water, that's our product, and we gained another 2 the second time, and so that brings us to 4. We can't do this anymore because we ran out of hydrogen to use, even though we have another oxygen. So we're done, and we need to start graphing. So when you're graphing, it's important to recognize that that's 0, 0. This is time, and this is concentration. When we start, we need to label our times. So that can be 1, and that can be 2. Over here, we need to go up to at least 4. So you can say 2, 4, and 6 just to go up a bit more. We're going to plot our hydrogen first. At starting point, we had 4. So this is at our 0 reaction. This is our starting point. We're going to plot 4. And then when one reaction happened, we lost 2. So we have to go down 2. And then at our second reaction, we lost 2 again. And so this means we go down like this. And you can kind of write your line off to the side and write H2 so that you don't get your lines confused later. For oxygen, we started at 3. And then at the first reaction, we went down to 2. And then at our second reaction, we went down to 1. So this one looks a little different. You can draw your line out and write O2. And lastly, we have our water. We started at 0 because we had no products before we had a reaction. And then at the first one, we went up to 2. And then at the second reaction, we went up to 4. And draw your line. this is a basic idea of how to do this. If you use pencil instead of a fat marker and you're using graph paper, you're going to get clean-cut graphs every time, and the table can be really helpful.